Time for hour two of this. On your mark, get set. Let's go.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up?
Good morning. Kevin Durant, you should have left California.
This bronsexual upset me in having to bring this teenage idiot from Wisconsin into a sports conversation. Are you really surprised the Cowboys are giving up on Ezekiel Elliott?
Whoa! Hell no! Well, no one cares about baseball.
Bitch, are you for real?
Thursday's here, so am I. Welcome to another rendition and installment of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that duo, Cole Johnson. I'll be joined momentarily by a few players, as they say. Later on in the program, we'll go totally deets with Chris Deets, the man in charge of the Fit Down Sports Show, and we'll have other things in mind. But right now, let's go whip around, shall we? The San Antonio Spurs are selecting Victor Wembanyama tonight in the 2023 NBA Draft. Now, there is a program that was called Keyshawn, J, and Max. I say was because that show now is canceled. With recent efforts to cut costs, it effectively will put that show on the chopping block. Despite the recent high-profile move to bring the former NFL punter Pat McAfee and his popular talk show to ESPN, the network has put a kibosh on other programming and personnel by cutting spending by over $5 billion. What sucks in this regard is Keyshawn actually signed a 4-year contract with ESPN last year, and it was worth $18 million. So I guess I could say it this way. I like the personality, but I had a feeling that show was not going to last long. And it's unfortunate. It's a sign, I think, of things to come. And, of course, I work in the industry, and it's just tough all the way around. And media companies now are like, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, and we will just chop it all off. And it does not matter what numbers you put up. What does matter is if you make money, enough money for us to validate your staying there. And unfortunately, that is not the case with Keyshawn, Jay, and Mark. Oh, I may need to bring somebody else on to talk about these things.
Now, forgive me not knowing the brother. You got your mic, but I don't know who the hell you are. It's like you're in the broadcasting witness protection program.
I am now joined by the man who is the hardest working content creator I know, Darnell Solins, but we don't know him by that name. We know him by the name Playmaker. How you doing this morning, sir?
You ask, you get your wish.
Yes, an extra day of Playmaker. Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful day. All right, so you are a viewer of ESPN programming. What are your thoughts on Keyshawn, Jay, and Mark being on the block to be cut?
I never watched it.
See, look at that. Look at that wonderful
this
expert
is
analysis.
the thing. You put them on with SportsCenter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, everybody's going to turn to SportsCenter because they want to know what they missed.
Yeah.
From the previous day.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go to Get Up and First Take.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but
because if you look at ESPN, the actual ESPN channel, 7 o'clock is SportsCenter.
Right.
8 o'clock is Get Up. 10 o'clock is First Take. And then 12 o'clock is SportsCenter.
Right.
That's like the morning lineup for sports fans.
Yeah.
Where do you fit Keyshawn, Jay, and Max at?
Yeah. I guess maybe Stephen A was right. Talented as he may be, I guess it just wasn't in the cards for him to be, on the whole network in general. Woo, that's rough. That's rough. Bruce Brown, he is now a free agent, or he's going to become a free agent after declining his $6.8 million option with the now NBA champion Denver Nuggets. Now, a person spoke with anonymity to the Associated Press because the move has not been officially announced because the NBA free agency period begins next week. Now, Brown signed with the Nuggets last summer, and he became a really big piece off the bench for the Nuggets. And he can either be in the guard or he could be a small forward. And he averaged 12 points for the team and gave you 4 boards. And he was key in certain moments, especially in the conference finals. I remember seeing him having a huge presence in the conference finals. The thought with the Nuggets is he basically is going to probably test the market, go back to the Nuggets and say, see, I'm worth this. Can you give me that or more? Because I think this is meant to probably necessitate a pay raise. What are your thoughts, sir?
He'll be back in Denver.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because it's like a mere back of shells type of thing. I'm like, he's a key piece. The Nuggets know it. He knows it. I just believe it's
pretty much all right. This is what we gonna do. You test the market and you come back with a number, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and we might match it. We actually might exceed it. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. But I got one more issue to talk about on Whip Around. Future NBA draft pick Brandon Miller and the now former Alabama player. He said something really interesting that I know Snowman is probably going to eventually talk about when he comes back off his vacation. But he said, quote, LeBron James is not my GOAT. Paul George is. Close quote. Heck, I need a drink.
This coffee with McCarthy is sponsored by Steph Curry Cognac. One, and it's lights out.
I'll give you the final word, sir.
That's his favorite player. That's his favorite player. So.
I get that's his favorite player, but there's a difference between favorite player and the greatest ever. My favorite player is Akeem, but I don't call him the best ever to do it.
You talking about the guy who wasn't the best player in college basketball?
Lord have mercy.
I mean, that's what they call it. Brandon Miller was not the best player in college basketball.
Well, no, he wasn't. He at a time there was hype for him being that way, but still, the greatest player of all time, Paul George. Really? I'm sorry.
Look. Remember, really? we dealing with a new generation. Okay, we dealing with a new generation. And you said it earlier this week. They don't go back and watch YouTube clips and see what the past was.
They don't do any research. I'm like, Red,
Bitch, please.
I mean, that's really what I want to say to them. If my tongue went that way, or I don't know, maybe if my tongue went this way, I'd probably be saying this as well.
Bitch, are you for real?
Never mind. I'm in this with
look, and the thing is, I don't think he'd been paying attention. If he'd been paying attention, he wouldn't have said that, because everybody gets on Paul George for one reason only.
What? No rings or even no finals trips?
It's a reason why he has no rings and no finals trip. What's the best ability?
Oh, no, I get that. Availability, I get that. But I was going to say something else, and I had to temper my thought. Which it wasn't about availability.
Now, his Pacers days?
His Pacers days, he looked like he was going to have a pretty nice game. He really did. He was a beast. He
ran into a big three down the South Beach.
Could play on both ends. I mean, and at one stretch, he probably could have vied to be the best offensive and defensive player on his team. But yeah, I mean, and of course, the injury he suffered, I think, really set him all the way back. But
that, and plus him running to the big three down in South Beach.
Well, that curtailed his ascent. I agree.
So, if there's one thing a certain group of people can say, their favorite player is the reason why Paul George haven't reached the mountaintop.
It's just that,
because if he had to deal with him, Paul George would probably been the champion by now.
Yeah. But see, my thought would be this. You're saying what's the one thing that Paul George doesn't have? You see, I would say that Paul George doesn't have any. Well, look at that. My own producer hand saved me. See? Thank you, Lord. A break, and when we come back, should we talk about this wonderful trade that took place before
a trade choices? That wasn't a trade, that became a different trade, but a more bigger trade? That trade?
That particular trade. In 2, we will probably try to do our best to even make sense of the trade that wasn't.
Well, that's why research is important, kids. Research.
This planet has been great to me. It's given me gifts that I can't even explain. It's given me adventures and memories I'll never forget. And Battleborn, I think, has given me the opportunity to go beyond and give something back. How can I be a better custodian to this planet and the place I live. That's where I am with Battleborn. Let's make the planet a better place.
Hey everybody, Brian Snow here. Want to do some afternoon sports talk with me and be interactive? Also meet some great guests from every walk of life? Then tune in to The Brian Snow Show on CSTV and CSTVnow.com. Weekdays at 2 p.m. Come on aboard and enjoy the ride.
PK Tire Pro is your one-stop on-the-spot auto service headquarters for a complete line of quality tires and auto services. For years, we have provided the Stockton, California area with the latest products and unprecedented services for everything we sell. And for years, our customers have been coming back. Take a look around. If you don't find what you need, visit us in Stockton, California. From the latest and best in tire technology to the services required to keep your vehicle looking good and running great, PK Tire Pros can get you out on the road quickly and at an affordable price. Stop by soon to see why so many people consider PK Tire Pros to be the one-stop shop for all of their tire needs. At PK Tire Pros, our friendly and knowledgeable staff, quick and dependable service professionals, and affordable prices all come together to make driving out on a new set of tires easy. On top of that, we never tire of tires. Stop by and see us, and you'll be glad you did.
'Cause we take this job so serious.
The is that? Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
I think that's what we all said about the trade that we're about to break down in a couple of minutes. Back
that's a pretty reason why you played that.
Exactly.
Because you went to bed with one trade, then you woke up to another trade.
Mm-hmm.
What is about the same two teams with a third different team?
Oh my goodness. It will break down this mess and this menagerie of I don't know what. But well, let us head to the Fanatic Feedback Zone where we just love all you guys after the huddle. Yes, sir.
After the huddle. Hey, good morning to you. I was going to say before you begin, we have to go to the Snowman's comment.
I will touch on that to end the show. Now, to the Fanatic Feedback Zone. What's up, new family member after the huddle? It is good to see you again, my man.
After the huddle.
Good. I'm glad that you're here, man. He says, Snowman and Cole, can we talk about this whole Titanic situation going on running backs?
No, can't do it. Can't do it. Nope.
The big dog, Shane Lake, he says, tomorrow is going to be lit. We're going to have some fun. Oh, yes, we are. David 3000, he says, good morning.
Y'all have fun with that.
Ryan McCarthy and Oak Ridge has acquired fame. He says, good morning, Snow Crew. Wow, I am shocked, I tell you, over the breaking news from the Spurs.
That would be the part I came in on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, after the huddle. Yeah. K, J, and Max got canceled officially. Yeah.
Max's other show got canceled too.
Well, Max's own show got canceled as well? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, just in.
Yeah, this is him. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. It looks like what I just heard. Yeah, this just in also got canceled too. Ooh, wow. Shane says, look, they didn't have the chemistry needed to keep the show alive. Ratings weren't there. And where they were slotted time-wise was almost...
That's the same thing with This Just In. This Just In was a good show. It just, 2 o'clock is not an easy spot to be
in. No. Yeah, the time to normally be in for sports talk unless you are a winning personality and you could just simply rock no matter where you're slotted, is mid to late mornings. And neither one of Max's shows were slotted in those spots. Say Diggy says, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. His vintage greeting, good afternoon to you, all the way from Norway. He says the same thing for Ryan. What's the brew, sir? Ryan says, quote, my GOAT is Paul George. Close quote. He takes off his headphones and walks away. Where did you see that, sir? Please tell me.
No, that's his reaction to it.
No, I know. That would be mine too. Six says, well, Paul George is this person's favorite player, but to say that George is the GOAT, how childish of him. Thank you. Like I said in the last segment, Hakeem Olajuwon, he's my favorite player ever. But I have never once said that he is the greatest player of all time. Never. Never. Not once. Not once I've ever said that. Not once.
See, I think besides you, I think most of the people in my group and a little before my group were kind of forced to be Jordan fans, not in a negative way.
I get it.
But everywhere you turned is Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I get it.
And then the movie Space Jam made it over the top because that's a Disney movie and they had all his little cartoons. So it's like, hey, Michael Jordan's the favorite player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
So for me, I put Michael Jordan in the category on his own. I was like, so Michael Jordan is my favorite player, but he's in the category of his own because I can't use that because it's kind of forced upon. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I get it because that's how LeBron has been these last 2 decades. It's been here. This is the standard of the NBA, and we have been force-fed him. And Jordan pretty much was similar. Just, I mean, for media pumping, I mean. Games are different. I understand that. But in terms of this is the face of the league, and we're going to switch all our focus there, and it's going to be unbiased, and unbiasedly, we're going to do that. Yeah, I could see that.
So I have to say, outside of Jordan, when people ask who's my favorite player, I got to go outside of Jordan. Because, like, everybody in the 90s, they're Jordan fans. Unless you hated them.
Yeah, and there was some who...
There was no in between. Either you love Jordan or you hate Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of the love group. So outside of Jordan, then I say Tracy McGrady.
I like him. I hated the fact that he... I hated the fact that he couldn't galvanize a team.
We can make a whole list.
Regular season.
But we can make a whole list of players. If they want the guy injured, the NBA would be totally different.
Yeah.
And he's one of them.
Well, look, the late Kobe Bryant basically said one of the toughest players he guarded was McGrady. He says, look, he has all these guard skills, but he's 6'9". And of course he played small forward basically, but still, he had all these guard skills, but he was 6'9". Yeah. The only issue I've always had with him was he didn't seem to lead troops as well as he sort of was like. He was like the forerunner to James Harden. It's like he would wow you in the regular season, and in the playoffs he'll have his moments, but for some reason he just couldn't get his team over the hump to whatever was the next step. Now, in his career, he actually did. He was on a team that went to the finals. But as in his prime or in his playing weight, he never. I don't think he ever won a playoff series as a starter. I don't think he ever won a playoff series.
No, and part of the Doc Rivers 3-1 blown leads was with McGrady in Orlando against the Pistons, and when they ended up winning the championship.
See.
We had them down 3-1.
Yes, you did.
Grant Hill went down again.
See, there you go.
And it went differently from that point forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cool. What's up, brother? I hope everything's good with you, man. Shane says, look, my dude is Kobe. Could I make an argument of GOAT? Yes. Will I? Nope. MJ is 1, Kobe is 1A. And look, I don't hate people for saying Kobe either. But I just basically say that Kobe was a Jordan clone. That's where I go.
Oh, I did when he played.
Was that?
I did when he played.
Mm-hmm.
Once he got done playing, I said, then the Kobe hate stopped. I think he ain't playing.
Mm-hmm. To me, I've always said that, and I still say this now. Yeah, that I love Kobe, Jordan clone. But the one thing about him, though, And I would actually say even greater than Jordan. And I've had Jordan fans laugh at me when I say this. I don't think anyone worked harder at all, including Jordan, than Kobe.
No, Kobe actually told. I didn't actually know what Kobe did because he said it was one of the YouTube videos I like to listen to, and Kobe went about how he go did it. I'm like,
it's crazy. His daily schedule was crazy.
He worked on his game at least 4 times a day.
4 times a day. I'm like, doggone. Early morning, late morning, afternoon, early afternoon, late afternoon. I'm like, doggone. And he slotted at least 2 hours, if not more, each of those blocks. I'm like, how in the world? Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've witnessed anybody work as hard as Kobe ever in basketball. And including Jordan. And Jordan worked hard on his game. But Kobe was a different breed. Now, trade talks. Kristaps Porzingis. So he was one of the centerpieces of this trade. And now he is a Celtic. He goes from the Wizards to the Celtics. And the Wizards have agreed to trade him there as part of a 3-team trade, which also includes Marcus Smart, hello Memphis, and 2 people with knowledge of the deal talked about it earlier this morning. Now, the deal also includes acquiring Smart, Grizzlies acquiring Smart, who was Defensive Player of the Year last year, in exchange for first-round draft picks for this and next year. And the Wizards also receiving Tyus Jones from Memphis and Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari and a second-round draft pick this year from the Celtics. Now, the Celtics add Porzingis after they lost in 7 to Miami in the conference finals this past year, and he's coming off a solid year in D.C., scoring 23 points, pulling down 8 boards. Now, most importantly, though, he stayed healthy enough to play in more than 60 games, the most he has ever played since his 2017 season when he was with the Knicks. Now, his departure completes a swift breakup of Washington's core after the Wizards have waved bye-bye to Beal to the Suns. Kyle Kuzma declining his option. Now Porzingis is off to Boston. And it's understandable because the Wizards have missed the playoffs the past 2 seasons, and they're clearly now are in a rebuilding mode under new team president Michael Winger. Now, Smart, he has played all of his time in Boston, all 9 seasons, longest tenured player on the team, and one of the strongest presences in the locker room, which makes me think that might be a reason why he got dealt. Now, his departure leaves the Celtics with Derek White and reigning 6th man of the year Malcolm Brogdon as the top 2 candidates to replace him. Now, Smart, what he would bring to the Grizzlies is probably something they have been needing for a few years. Much needed experience to a young core that needs help at point guard following the announcement of Ja Morant having to miss at least 1/3 of the upcoming 2024 season. Now, Smart also brings his postseason experience to the Grizzlies, of course, having an Eastern Conference championship and advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of other times to boot. Now, what is your first impressions of this trade, sir?
First of all, Malcolm Brogdon. Aquarium might want to know what type of injury you're dealing with. Because from what Brian Woodhull said on Get Up, that injury that you're dealing with makes you non-tradable. Which is why you didn't get traded to the Clippers, as everybody was going to sleep thinking that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing talks, but I didn't think he was going to go anywhere.
So what injury is you dealing with? Aquarium minds want to know.
Mm-hmm. And kudos to Cool because he actually is really good on these. Oh Lord, he's really good on these things. Shane says Cool did say yesterday Boston needed a big, and since Shane is a Celtics fan, he says we got a big. Well, I would have to say you might have to ask Wise on the effectiveness of said big. You have a big who can score, The question is, will he be invested in playing? Now, I would love to see if he actually can bring it. And I'm not gonna cast aspersions to say anything bad about Porzingis in terms of he's a
His
bust or
best year last season. This past season.
he's a par. But this past season was pretty good for him.
That was his best season.
Yeah. I think it was a good ego boost for him. I'll put it that way. I think it was a good ego boost for him.
Secondly,
Mm-hmm.
who knew Marcus Smart was tradable?
I had a feeling he was going to be. It was either going to be him or Jaylen Brown. I had that feeling. The Tatum, Brown, Smart triumvirate was going to get broken up this year, this offseason. But I knew Tatum was not going to be the one who was going to be moved. It was going to be Brown or Smart. It just depended on which piece of those two did the Celtics find a little more expendable, and unfortunately they thought Smart was.
So Memphis, guess what? You got an adult in the room.
Thank the Lord.
See, Cole was being nice when he was saying experience. He was trying to be nice to you. Y'all got an adult in the room.
They needed it. They needed it because the core was absolutely immature, and still is, to a degree. And that's not dogging Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Moran. I'm not dogging them for that, or even Desmond Bain. I'm not dogging them for their talent. They are really talented, but the one thing they needed was the one thing they've lacked, which was some person to say, snap out of it and grow up. Whenever they would just go a little too far in their immature antics, on and off the court. Now they have that.
And at least for Memphis' point, you gave up a guard, but you got a guard back. So you kind of even yourself out, but you got the better end because you actually got Defensive Player of the Year. Tyra Jones could be a Defensive Player of the Year, but he didn't get the amount of minutes and game time that Marcus Smart did.
Shane, he says, Porzingis gonna have better pieces in Boston to work with, which that is true in regards to Brown and Tatum. Tatum's not moving. He's more beloved in Boston than Smart. Why Smart was moved? And that's why I was like, of the triumvirate, I knew Tatum was not going to be the one to be moved because the Celtics have basically said, this is your team. We're going to get this ring with you be the lead dog. He's not going anywhere. And I don't think there would be I don't think there'll be any piece big enough for them to actually change their mind. Like if say Jokic were available, or if not Embiid, or if Giannis were available, I don't think the Celtics would jump at that. I think they'd say we're good with Tatum. There isn't a piece big enough for them to think, okay, we're going to move Tatum. So I knew that was a non-starter. That was non-negotiable. That's why I said it was either going to be Brown or Smart that was going to be moved. And I agree.
Thank you, sir. Okay, you brought me to point number 3. Milwaukee, you on the clock.
Yes, they are.
Chris Middleton declined his option. Doesn't that mean he's going to re-sign with the Bucks? I got a feeling he will, because why would he go somewhere else?
Yes.
But you're on the clock, Bucks, because guess what? Now you got to see how he plays with them. But they have a big man. So now you have, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and most likely the point guard part is going to be Derek White.
And a lot of people, I think, are starting to get higher on Derek White. So you have that. And then
they still got the reigning 6th man of the year, Michael Brogdon.
Yeah, but then there's Brogdon, who they can bring off the bench.
So Milwaukee, you on the clock. What you going to do?
Yeah. So to me, still talent-wise, I think the Celtics still are the class of the recent conference. Still, and even though Smart is a big piece that really fit what they were doing, and he got moved, it looks like they didn't suffer much. And I actually wanted to bring up this topic to bring in the guest that I'm about to bring in because he bleeds green.
Totally bleeds green.
God, does he bleed green? And I figured it would be wonderful for him to talk
he
about this
bleeds
as well.
Massachusetts.
Well, not all the way, but he does bleed green.
Passionate.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Unflinching.
Let's go back to losing. Parking was easier.
Unrelenting.
They're not gonna keep him off the field tonight!
Totally.
This one has a chance!
Deeds.
That's not just a murmur, that's a full-blown fibrillation.
The man who's in charge of the Fifth Down Sports Show. Welcome, as we do every Thursday at the bottom of our number one, Chris Dietz. Oh, I see the shirt. I saw the blanket. So I guess you must say that trade is good for the Celtics.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that trade. And good morning, Playmaker. Good morning, Cole. Yeah, I think the Celtics were in a position where they had to make a move to do something to shake the team up. Now,
I agree.
A lot of people were telling everybody it was get rid of Jaylen Brown,
right?
And that would have been the worst move. And I see Shane. I see Big Shane in the group. Another Celtics fan out there. And he mentioned Tatum. You guys were talking about Tatum before. I would have moved Tatum before I moved Brown. To me, Jaylen Brown is the lifeblood of the team, and until the Celtics realize that, they're not going to get over the hump that they got to.
But you pointed out the key ingredient. The organization is high on they are so high on Tatum that, like I said before I brought you on, I don't think they think there's a piece big enough for them to consider, okay, we'll move him. Now, would they get more for Tatum than anybody else on the team? Of course. So I get it from that standpoint. But the organization is basically saying, well, we got our, not saying he plays like him. I'm talking about he has the stature of at the moment. He's our Larry Bird. He's our Paul Pierce in this generation. So I don't see the organization wanting to move him, but I could see them thinking about moving Brown or Smart. It just depends on which the organization thought was a more expendable piece. And I think I agree with you. I think it was smart to move Smart. Although, yes, I think it would have been smarter for the Celtics to keep him just so you could actually have a steadied presence. Because I think a lot of the time, which it goes unnoticed, he seems to ground the Celtics whenever they are on bad footing much of the time. And what I think he brought to the Celtics, he definitely is going to have to bring to the Grizzlies, because they need to have somebody that will basically put their feet on solid ground.
Well, the problem with Marcus Smart was never his play.
Right.
It was the fact that he would play 3 games and miss the next 2.
Availability.
I mean, that was the biggest problem with Marcus Smart when he was on the court. When he's on the court, he's a great player. I mean, what'd you say? He's going to the Grizzlies.
He's going to Memphis. Yes.
You look at Marcus Smart. He's another Celtic going to the Grizzlies. It's Tony Allen 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Marcus Smart is. He is. I'm struggling to find one. He's right now probably the best defender in the league, best on-ball defender in the league, and that's his game. Now, can he give you a lot off? He can give you a spark offensively here and there, but he's not a guy you put the ball in his hand and say, all right, go ahead. Yeah. Again, he, the fact that he went from the Celtics to the Grizzlies, Tony Allen comparisons are just they're too easy to make. But when talking about Tatum and Brown, you said the right name before. Mm-hmm. Larry Bird status, no. But when talking about Tatum and Brown, you can easily mirror them with Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker.
No, I get that.
And for as great as Paul Pierce was, there was a moment where you thought, all right, these two are, Walker and Pierce are going to be together forever, and forever doesn't last for that group for groups like that.
Yeah.
Eventually, at some time, you got to make a decision on one. I hope that time never comes because I love watching Brown and Tatum play. But as a Celtics fan, if you were asking me which one do you keep, which one do you get rid of, to me it's not even a question. I'm keeping Jaylen Brown because that Celtics team runs through Jaylen Brown. And I get it. Tatum can give you that 50 game. He can put up 51, 52. But he also has games like he did in Game 6 and Game 7. Game 7 against Miami, where he just faded to the background.
Well, unfortunately, the same could be said for, at least in this year, the same could be said for Brown as well. Yeah, and like I said, the reason why I said not saying the game is similar with Bird, just basically saying, all right, this is a Celtic that will ride or die with him. That's what I mean, and I think that's what the organization feels. They feel, okay, we're gonna have to ride or die with this guy. And like I said, and the two names that I mentioned before, Bird and Pierce, that's the most recent two that I remember the Celtics organization saying, okay, well, we're hitching our wagon to this guy and we'll build around him. And I think that's what they're doing now, and they feel as though, okay, we have seen him 6 years. We like what we see. He's on the precipice of a chip. Let's finish this off and let's see if he can get us that 18th chip with building around him. But we shall see. Well, let's take a pause for the cause, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this and other things, especially what's on Dietz' mind. This is Snowman in the Morning. I'm joined with the Playmaker along with Dietz. We'll be right back with more Totally Dietz in Lesson 2.
One of the great things about ordering meals from Mother of Macros is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Click the national or local delivery link to access the menu, and we'll ship the meals right to your door. We understand you won't always have time to plan, shop, prepare, and cook to provide healthy nutrition for your family, so the process is simple and saves you hours. We know you're busy, so our meals are professionally prepared and packaged. You only need to heat them up and enjoy. We provide macro-balanced, delicious meals chock full of fresh, local ingredients with none of the stuff you don't want to eat. Plus, our menu changes every week, keeping your taste buds wanting more. We take care of your meals so you can worry about everything else on your list. Mother of Macros.
I don't want to grow up. I'm basically a man-child. 2005 Burning Man. I put a single Mitsubishi 170-watt panel on the roof of my F-250, and I killed the batteries within like 15 minutes of the first time turning them on. So that's when I first got into solar. I was blown away by the customer service at Battleborn.
We want them to be happy with our product because in the long run, they're the ones who are out there using it.
When you used to buy something American, like a car, something you knew was built really well, that's what I think of with Battleborn.
Hey, y'all, Snowman here. catch me, Cole Johnson, Wise El Jefe, and the usual cast of characters as we bring it to you every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m.
10 a.m.
Eastern. It's called Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, and it's right here on CSTV and CSTVnow.com. Join us, won't you?
'Cause we take this job so serious.
I'm sorry. I did that all wrong. I did that all wrong. My bad.
Do it right, will you?
Oh, God. Brother guest, I'm so glad, Ryan, that you here on Coffee with McCarthy. I love you.
Oh, Lord, you beat me to it. What in the all types of blue hell?
Yes, it's Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Back at it on Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. You just saw Brother Guest with the one and only Ryan McCarthy of No Credentials Required fame. He joins us at the bottom of our number one every Monday morning. But joining us at the bottom of every Thursday of our number one is Chris Dietz, as we are in Totally Dietz. And I'm also joined by the Playmaker. You have a question, sir, to ask Mr. Dietz, Playmaker?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Where? So with this trade, right? Does this put Boston over the top?
I think it keeps them. I think it keeps them in line in the Eastern Conference.
I like that answer.
Where they are they at the top? I would still put Milwaukee. I still would put Milwaukee as the class of the Eastern Conference. Nobody else has a Greek freak. Nobody, you're not getting a Greek freak. And we saw how big he is to that Milwaukee team, because when he was out, that's when the Heat did their business. I know he came back later in that series, but
he was hampered.
He was not the same. He was not the same Greek. I mean, he missed almost a month, and then they tried to just ramp it up and say, all right, go ahead, play playoff basketball, and it didn't work. But Milwaukee is still. I would still put Milwaukee 1, Boston 2, and then the rest. I mean, the 76ers. Who knows what the 76ers are? The 76ers are Jekyll and Hyde when they're on. Yeah, they're a great team, but you cannot count on Joel Embiid to lead you to the promised land. So that's how I would rank the Eastern Conference. And does that mean this trade puts Boston into championship mode? Well, I think if they had gotten there, they would have given the Nuggets a run. But outside of the Nuggets, who in the West are you crowning a champion? Are you crowning a championship with?
Depending on who you're asking.
I mean, I'm not looking at anybody outside of Denver.
I'll put it
again,
this way.
We talked about Memphis before. Sacramento's still young. Golden State is Golden State.
Long in the tooth.
So they'll be in the mix. The Timberwolves fell apart. So it's a very the NBA is very winnable right now.
Yeah, and I do agree with you also, Playmaker. Yeah, it depends on who you ask with the West. To me, the closest possibility in terms of talent would be the Grizzlies, but their mental makeup is not there. So I mean, just from that alone, they're eliminated in my mind. But if you ask Snowman, he'll say the Warriors. You ask a Lakers fan, they'll say the Lakers. You ask Playmaker, he'll say Clippers. Oh, I'm sorry, that didn't. My bad. I'm sorry. That was wrong.
I ain't even say a thing about them two.
That was wrong. Now the biggest question mark, all seriousness, the biggest question mark in the West is the Suns. To me,
you knew why I said that.
I know why you said it. Kawhi.
No, you know why I say it depends on who you ask.
Oh, well, like I said, with Snowman, he was going to say Warriors.
Because some people at ESPN already put the Suns as number one. I'm like, what?
I think you look at the trade the Celtics just made. I think the Suns traded too much. I think Bradley Beal's a great player. Kevin Durant's a great player. Booker's a great player. But there's only one basketball. They can't all shoot. They can't all shoot. They can't shoot 3 basketballs at once. There's only one. There's only one basketball. Only one guy can take that shot.
And let me bring my shooting lights out into Snowman in the morning here. Because when I say this, I want to hear Cole's reaction to this. Shoot. You know what the average score was in the NBA this past season? The average score,
like about 107, 108,
114.
Well, it was high. Oh, it was higher. Okay.
You have 3 guys on the Phoenix Suns that give you at least 20 points. So that's 60 points right there.
Right. Well,
the rest of the Suns need to average 54 points.
You being conservative saying 60. They could probably give you in the neighborhood of 70 to 75.
The rest of the Suns going to give you 40 to 50 points a game.
If that. And that's if they're clicking and they're on.
Who on that team is going to give you that much points?
Well, they're banking on
You've asked that question like that.
That's what they're doing. They're banking on DeAndre Ayton. He's got a long way. He's got a long way, but he's young enough. He's young enough where he can grow up.
I am so glad you mentioned his name because that is what the Suns are banking on. It's because my thought was when they got Beal, I'm like, they still don't have a big. And you would say, well, then there's DeAndre Ayton. He's still only 24. I mean, he's still young. He still can blossom. He still grow. But it just shows how ineffective he is when I'm actually still saying with this trade with Beal, they're missing a big man, and they have one. That's an indictment against him.
I'm going to make Cole like, the only time DeAndre Ayton shows up, he see a Clipper uniform.
Yeah. That is what's frustrating to me because the way that team is supposed to work, Aiden is supposed to basically be like how Clint Capella was with James Harden in Houston, where he'll give you double-doubles. If he gives you like 15 and 10 every night, you're good. That is what he's supposed to give you. He doesn't even come close to giving you that.
He played what, 3 games against the Nuggets and he was done?
Yeah.
Well, DeAndre Ayton has the same problem. He has the same problem as Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. And they're big men that think they can play small ball. Your big men dominate the paint area, dominate your area, and let Booker do his thing behind. Let Kevin Durant do his thing from behind the arc. Let Bradley Beal do his thing behind the arc. But own your area. If I'm in charge of the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to DeAndre Ayton saying, own the block. That's all we need you to do is own the block, get down there, and don't worry about playing behind the 3-point line. Get down there and play old school bully ball, and that's all we need you to do. We've got the shooters around you, but just own the block for us, and we'll figure the rest out.
That is what's missing. The fact that DeAndre Ayton seems to have to be reminded of, oh, I'm a big man. My area is his post. My area is the paint. No. He doesn't play that way.
I hate to do this, but Cole, give me this camera.
I thought I escaped this crap with Snowman on vacation. Okay, fine. Lord.
DeAndre Ayton, while you was on the bench doing the Western Conference semifinal, did you look at see how the Nikola Jokic was playing?
Even the guess.
He started in the paint, then he worked his way outside.
It's a dang shame. Even the guess ass would just give me the camera crap. Lord have mercy.
Okay? If you don't get your butt inside and do what you need to do, because guess what? When you was in the finals, Giannis made you look bad. Really bad.
See, I fought you for this, Snowman. I fought you for this reason.
And then when you got to the Jokic, he made you look even worse. To the point where you didn't even want to play the last 3 games.
Don't do this. Give me this camera crap no more, Snowman, please.
You had to sit here. You like, I'm chilling with Chris Paul. I don't want no more of this. Because Jokic went inside and said, I'm on in the paint first, then I'll go outside and do my thing.
Lord have mercy. You have to co-sign these fools spazzing because you spaz. Lord, why? Why, Snowman? Why?
Okay. So if you want to be that type of guy, you got to start on the inside first and then work your way out. Take the camera back.
Lord. Give me this camera. Lord have mercy. All right.
Yeah, you did it Monday.
I know.
You didn't even play. You did it Monday.
But your points are valid though. Both your points are valid, and I agree with you. Well, we'll do a hard reset, and when we come back, we'll take a little bit more of Chris Dietz and Totally Dietz as we usher in hour number 2. Right back at you. This is Snowman and One with Cole Johnson, joined by Chris Dietz and the Playmaker.
Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground, and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Time for hour 2 of this spectacular. Ryan McCoffey now joins us this morning.
That's what you need to do to beat Josh Allen. You need to make him uncomfortable.
Hour 2, time for some Spivey notes. And here's Jay.
Well, I know he's only in his 3rd year, but they're just wasting Justin Herbert.
Hour 2.
The hardest working content creator I know, the Playmaker.
Hey, LeBron James, the greatest scorer of all time. Hey.
Hour 2.
The one, the only Christopher Dietz.
They rewarded Ohio State for not playing, and they punished USC for playing.
Hour 2. Sam Shady.
Oh, man. It's been a roller coaster ride if you were a Philadelphia Stars fan.
Hour 2. That's Big Ben, the man in charge of the BS3 network.
And if I see Kurt 2 Chainz Cousins out.
Hour 2, Chris Bay's joining us.
Oh my God! Oh, this game! Oh, way to go, Sammy!
Hour 2, was El Jefe.
Oh man, I thought I missed it.
What in the all types of blue hell?
Time for hour 2 of this spectacular, and it starts right now.
Welcome back to now hour 2 of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. My other half is on vacation. He's enjoying his time with his missus, and we will talk about her at the bottom of our number 2 because it's a special day. With the Playmaker, we are still in Totally Deets with Chris Dietz of the Fifth Down Sports Show. And we've been talking about the Celtics trade. What else is on your mind, sir?
Well, first off, let me give a little bit of praise here. And Cole Sports with a Z yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Great segment you had yesterday, and I'm glad I'm on here. You know, I was planning on coming on here and ripping into what you talked about yesterday with when you mentioned the Grizzlies, and you talked about on Cole Sports yesterday, the John Morant situation. And that's what's on my mind because I have no idea what is happening with it. I still am at a loss for what is happening with this situation. And I get it. I need. So I'm glad I'm on here. I'm glad Playmaker's here. I'm glad there's the two of you can help guide me through this situation because I'm failing to understand what exactly happened. And the only way I can answer these the only thing I can do is ask questions and figure out where the NBA is at right now with this situation. And the first question I have, because I know this was a social media picture of John Morant. Yes or no?
Well, social media video.
Live.
It was a video. Yeah.
It was a video. It was a video, but it was I don't understand the NBA coming down on Mr. Morant. Yes. Is there an NBA? Is there a rule in the NBA you are not allowed to have a firearm in your personal life?
No, that's not the rule.
No.
That's not
No.
the rule.
No. The rule is you got to be licensed, and you got to prove that you are licensed to carry. That is the rule.
Also, is conduct detrimental to the league because you have one of the faces of the league on social media waving a gun.
Well, here's where I have a problem with this. I get it. He had a firearm. Now, the big question comes down to whether the first big question is, was it a legal? What was it a legal firearm? Because that's the first question. Because if it was illegal, then there's bigger problems than the NBA that he's looking at. Two, like you said, is he licensed? Is he licensed to carry? Three, the establishment that he was at, did they have an issue with him having a firearm? Did they have a problem with him carrying the firearm into their establishment? I understand the NBA can say, look, there are posters all over my job, which nobody would ever need to bring a firearm into. If somebody ever brought a firearm into my place of employment, I'm hitting the deck because I know there's problems. There's no reason to bring a firearm, and there are signs all over the place. No firearms allowed on premises. If that's what the NBA wants to do, that's fine. The NBA can do whatever they want. But this was Ja Morant in his personal life, and I get it. Everybody said, "Oh my God, look, he's got a firearm." I akin this to a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. I saw a video of Kid Rock shooting a gun at a case of Bud Light. Nobody had an issue with Kid Rock using a firearm. Nobody had an issue with him doing that. Why? Because we expect it from we expect it from Kid Rock. Kid Rock is that kind of person where we would be like, oh, we expect him to brandish this kind of a firearm and do that kind of a thing. We expect it from him.
And
however, the biggest question is, why is it a problem? Yes, he was brandishing a firearm. He wasn't firing it. He wasn't. Was he acting stupid? Sure. But I still don't. Unless the NBA is saying you are not allowed to be in video and picture, you are not allowed to have a firearm on your person at all, then I still don't see I still fail to see the problem, other than the NBA doesn't like guns and they want to get rid of guns.
So with the Gilbert Arenas situation and the Steven Jackson situation, which both I think happened around 2004 or 5, around that time period. David Stern, the late commissioner of the NBA, like I said, he instituted a rule in that following collective bargaining agreement where it states that, yes, you can own a weapon, you can own a gun, you have to prove it to us that you are licensed to carry it. And this wasn't written in the bylaws, but he asked all the players and he asked the organizations. He says, look, I get that you probably feel as though you need to protect yourself, but please, if you can, leave your guns at home. Please leave your guns. He actually said that to the teams. So it's like I guess it's more like an unwritten rule. And and I get that. And in terms of the legal aspect of Morant, where he lives and can carry, I live in the same state where he plays. And Tennessee is an open carry, meaning you really don't need a license. All you need to do is just carry. But of course, you have to alert the officer if you have in your car that you're carrying. But the NBA says you have to be licensed to carry. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to be licensed to carry. Now, and in when I was actually talking about it yesterday on Cole Sports, Ryan was actually in there in the room too. He said, "Look, having weapons is legal. Yes, brandishing it is illegal." And I mean, I guess you could consider it to be like a threat, a threat to society. I guess I don't know, but what I do know is you have You have and Playmaker said it, you have a top 10 NBA player who he is beloved in the community with children, and I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious by the shoe the shoe deal that he has with the signature shoe with Nike that is catered to children with the colors that it has on it. So you have a league that's trying to say to the player, you have to be
responsible.
Thank you, Playmaker. You have to be responsible in your image. You cannot carry yourself in a way where you will scare off our fan base, where you'll scare off our public. You know, the people who paid to see you. We don't want you to scare them off. Now, the difference between him and Kid Rock. Name me the organization that Kid Rock plays for. He's independent. He can do what he wants.
Kid Rock
with impunity. I mean,
we sit here and say, "Oh, he's an athlete. He has to be a role." You know, like you just said. Oh, he has to be a role model to children. Kid Rock's a bigger celebrity than John Morant is.
Well, yeah,
way more recognizable now. But to me, I think we're skating over the issue, and I'm probably not the guy to say this, but I'm probably not the guy that should be saying this, but I'll say it anyway. The difference between Kid Rock and John Morant is the difference between me and the two of you, and that is the color of my skin. Kid Rock is allowed to get away with this because he's a white country. He's now a country singer. Kid Rock is all genres of music. He's been a rapper. He's been a hard rock guy. He's now in the country music scene. That's more acceptable in the country music realm. The problem is John Morant is seen as, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. He's seen as a black basketball player from the hood, and when he brandishes a gun, people get scared of what happens with said gun. That's where I think the media is at with it, and
thank you. I'm glad you said that.
And that's why the NBA is afraid of the media backlash that's going to come from that. Whereas a guy like Kid Rock brandishes his gun and actually shoots it, and his fan base is fine with it, and the media is fine with it, but they're not okay with just seeing the fact that John Morant has.
Just like Cole said, Kid Rock has to answer to nobody.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to answer to nobody. John Morant has to answer to multiple people within the league, in the Memphis organization. There's a certain way you have to carry yourself to be in the league. No matter if it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL. Mm-hmm. When it says conduct detrimental to the league, that means you're doing something that can hurt the league entirely.
Yeah. Doing something the league does not approve of. Yeah. Yeah, and you, I'll say this. I'll say this, and I definitely will not sugarcoat it. You, sir, Mr. Dietz, you probably will make. How can I put this? You'll make the woke crowd and Black Twitter very happy with that take. It's an oversimplification. Yeah, could I say it's a white country singer who's actually shooting off rounds, who lives in the same state as John Morant does. And, so he's white and he's able to shoot off rounds where no one says anything, but all Ja has to do is just show a gun, and he's brandished as a criminal. I will put this as a PSA. This goes for Snowman in the Morning. This goes for Cole Sports. And I'm thinking, I don't want to speak for Playmaker, but I think this goes for Playmaker too. We do not think that John Morant is a thug. At all. At all. In fact, we don't even think he had. I'll say this. I'll even put mentality on that too. We don't think John Morant. In fact, John Morant isn't one. And if people were to think that he is, especially with these two incidents, they're short-sighted. They're extremely short-sighted. Morant's not a thug, and he didn't come from those. In fact, he came from middle-class upbringing in South Carolina. Middle class, not from the hood, not from the streets. Middle class. So you have this guy who, I don't know. I guess he feels as though, I guess he loves guns, whether it's a toy or not. I guess he just loves guns, and if he does, cool. If he's responsible in using it, cool. But it is not what the league wants to see. It's not what the league wants a player to show, and it has been proven in many different cases where that's not what they want their players to do. Now, if Ja Morant was an independent contractor, or if Ja Morant was a hip hop artist, and he shot up, you probably could say that it might be a race element there because some might be a little bit taken aback by it. However, that rapper wouldn't be able to answer to anybody either. And so if you were to compare Chris Rock to Ja Morant in this situation, Chris Rock is an independent contractor. He can do what he wants. Ja Morant answers to not just the NBA, but the Memphis Grizzlies. And if Ja Morant were white and he did the same thing, he would get the same type of punishment. Because this is straight up, the Second Amendment is one thing, the NBA is another. And I can tell you this from the standpoint of here. I belong in a national media organization. There's things I can say and there's things I can't say. And if I were to not say them, if someone higher up were to see that I said this, I could get a pink slip. Right then and there, I could be gone from my job if I were to say something that would be not favorable or kind of detrimental to my company if I were to do that. Now, if I weren't belonging to this company, I could say whatever I want and do whatever I want, and it wouldn't be an issue because I wouldn't have to answer to anybody. There's your difference.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Second Amendment because I've seen that crowd jump on this situation. Oh, the NBA is just against guns and they don't want guns and blah. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with the NBA. You have to treat the NBA as though they are a business right now.
Thank you.
They are not. The Second Amendment is about the government being able to take away your weapon. It is not a business can act any way they want. And that's where I say the NBA, I have no problem if the NBA comes out and says, look, we do not want guns. We don't want guns in our facilities. We've had the Gilbert Arenas situation. We don't want anything like that going on. So we don't want them on our premises. And that the NBA can do whatever they want. They are a private business. They can make any rule they want. As I said, my business, I walk in, there's a huge sign that says, do not bring a firearm. There's no reason to have a firearm at my job. So walking in, I'm like, okay, that's your policy. That's fine. But the people that are out there that are saying this is against his Second Amendment right, no, it's not. The Second Amendment is about the government coming in and taking it. A private business can do whatever they want. They can have whatever policy they want, and they can institute it the way that they want.
Let me try to.
This was not in NBA. This was not on an NBA. This was not at an NBA facility. This was in his personal. Yes, it's social media, but this is his personal life. This is in his personal life. Now,
I knew you were gonna go there. So let me try to classify this for most people, because some people out there they think the same way that you do because it's personal life. When you play for a professional private company like the NBA, like the NFL, like the MLB, like the NHL,
property of the NBA.
If just because you're not on the court, the ice, the field, whatever the case may be, you still represent that company off of it.
Yeah, you represent the league.
You should already know, no matter where you go, somebody's looking at you, and they're gonna see how you act away from your job because we know who you are. We know who John Moran is. We know who Aaron Rodgers is. How are they outside of the workplace that we can talk about in any type of fashion that we can? And when you do that, you put the respective league that you work for in the forefront in a bad light, contramental to the league, even outside the workplace.
Yeah.
So when you are a professional athlete, you have to carry yourself in a certain manner, even away from the profession.
That's correct.
But see,
That's absolutely correct.
Why not make this a proactive? Why not be a proactive situation for the NBA? Let me give you guys a scenario. So this happens with John Moran. If you're the NBA and you want to say, all right, our guy, here's what we're gonna do. He got caught on social media. So what we're gonna have you do, Ja, is on your social, instead of suspending him from basketball games, what we're going to do is go on your social media and post that you are going to gun safety classes. Go to a gun safety class, put that on your social media and promote proper gun usage. Promote that and that's okay. Do something proactive about the situation so that, hey, you say you're showing your fan base, hey, this is a guy who can go out. Yes, he okay, so he brandishes a firearm in his time, but also he did something stupid, but now he's going to take a course. He's learning about gun safety and be proactive about it, because what is suspending him? Does it do anything to help remedy the situation? No, it does nothing but shine a light on. We don't let on. It does nothing to help the situation. That would have been, but you don't have people inside the NBA thinking like that. The NBA is thinking, we don't like guns. He showed a gun. We need to hit him with a suspension. And to me, I would say you're not allowed to come back until you are A, licensed, and B, until you have completed.
Let me explain to you why he got the 25 games. Because the first time he did it was 2 months before in Denver.
Right.
The NBA really didn't even suspend him. Actually, Memphis did that, along with John Morant. The NBA didn't really do it. Memphis and John Morant got together. Okay, you're gonna be gone for this amount of games, so you can do what you got to do, which was the 8 games.
Yeah,
the NBA just said 8 because Memphis and John Morant was already on it. And it was like, okay, this gonna give you 8 games and this, that, and the other. Okay, so we going about our business. He did it again 2 months later. So you pretty much did the same thing in a span of 2 months, twice. That's where the 25 games really come from. You did it the first time. We really didn't step in. We let you and your organization handle it. We just threw our name in there just so everybody can be quiet.
The 25 game. I'll tell you where this 25 games come. It comes from you're being an idiot, John Morant. Don't be an idiot. This is a don't be an idiot suspension.
Of course,
and that's basically what they're saying is you got caught once. We kind of let it go. You did it again because you did something stupid. It's doing something stupid. Mm-hmm. That's what this is. Not being stupid.
Of course, that's what it is.
Like the first time we let you go, we practically gave you a slap on the wrist, let your team deal with it, and we just went on about our business. But 2 months later, you did it again.
Yeah, you had to sit longer, and this is going to be coming from the league, not from the team. Yeah.
But what I'm saying, you want to use this. You want to use this to promote to be embrace what he's doing. Embrace him and say, "Hey, look, we can use this." You say he has to be a role model. Make him a role model. Make him do something that would be modeling, because that have him post the certificate of the class that he went to. Have him post all the stuff. Now you're using this situation to say to young people, "Hey, look, if you're gonna, we'd like you not to use a firearm, but if you're going to, get the proper credentials, get the proper stuff, get the proper training, do all the stuff that you need to do." And now you're turning a negative situation into something positive and something that you can market to younger kids to teach them something. That's the way you turn this. Suspending him does nothing but shine light on the negative aspects of this.
I hear you, Deeks. But let me give you a lesser example.
I'm fine with suspending him because he's for doing something stupid. I'm fine with that. But I'm saying make stipulations with your punishment to make it matter.
And I'm thinking they are.
Some people don't learn that way. Some people don't learn that way. Some people got to take the rough routes to finally let it click. Okay? Because we actually don't know what John Morant had to do in those 8 days on what they told us. He probably did all those things that you said.
Well, yeah.
He still made the same decision. So now the NBA said, okay, now we have to really step in on this. Try to dip this in the butt as quickly as possible. So not only you going to get suspended for 25 games, those 25 games basically cost you $40 million because you can't make all NBA next season.
Yeah.
Which guarantees you a max contract. And then on top of the game, you're not getting paid for it. So that's more money on top of the 40 that you ain't going to make.
Yeah. I think I'll put it like this. People are mixing so many different things all together. I mean, you have race, you have the government, you have private businesses, you have all of these things, you have the player, you have the league, you have all of this intersecting. And people are not taking the time as we have. They're not taking the time to point out all the nuances to all of this. And you've expressed it beautifully. Actually, both you have. John Morant is being suspended 25 games because he did something stupid a second time. And having a weapon, whether he intended to use it or not, whether it was a toy or not, is irresponsible and actually immature of an athlete, especially in a league where you had a former commissioner say to the players, "Don't put it out there." Now, this might not be written word, but it pretty much goes without saying. Like I can go to my newsroom. I did not see in my contract that I can't bring a firearm into my newsroom. But if I did, I guaranteed they probably would look at me and probably want to do some things such as just to say, "No, you either have to leave since you have a weapon on you, or you just have to put it away, but you have to come back here in here without a weapon." But they're well within their right to do, just like the NBA is well within their right to want to avoid another Steven Jackson or Gilbert Arenas situation. So, bottom lining it's straight simple. The NBA wants to curb anybody who did like what John Morant did in 2 months' time, brandish weapons. And they do not want to have a league where they have the image of, okay, and stop me where you've heard this before. They're a bunch of thugs. They're a bunch of hooligans. They're a bunch of criminals. In fact, around that same time, they named the team the Jailblazers. They want to not have that image on the league permeated. And so if they can nip it in the bud, that's what they're trying to do. And that's really is what's happening with John Morant. We could go on with this topic, and I'm enjoying this conversation. But Mr. Deeds, tell the people where they can find you.
All right, so you can find us at Fifth Down Sports Show on YouTube, Facebook. Trying to think of all the sites that we're on, Spotify, all of those things. Of course, we have the Summer of Greatness going on, so we are live Sundays from Z's Cafe here in West Haven, where we do our Summer of Greatness, and it's been a fantastic thing. Doing it live, I did think more people would get involved, but I do have to tell this story real quick before we go. After I did the show this week, I did it on Father's Day. I did it outside. It was beautiful. I was outside. And unfortunately, there was a nice couple that was sitting there having a nice lunch. And I jokingly apologized to them. I said, I'm sorry. I was out here. I'm sorry I ruined your nice peaceful lunch. I'm sorry I was ranting and raving over here. And this is what the lady said to me, verbatim. It put a smile on my face. She said, "You didn't ruin our lunch. You made this amazing. Everything you said was correct, and we loved hearing you talk about Seinfeld, because we were doing Father's Day, and I was talking about Jerry Stiller, and they were like, well, I loved hearing you talk about that. We loved hearing you talk the old wrestling, because we were talking about Rick and Charlotte Flair." So the lady said everything you said was we were just over here laughing our ass off, and I was like, that is why I'm loving doing this show live, because everybody always comes up to me after and has some comment to say about what I'm doing, even if they won't say it when I'm live on the air. After it, I've had so many good conversations after. So the Summer of Greatness has been going well, and we'll continue it this Sunday, and in more as we go. And of course, Fifth Down is growing, and I do have to mention Snowman and I will be live play-by-play college football coming up this college football season. So there is a lot more Fifth Down sports to come. But right now we're focusing on the Summer of Greatness, and that's Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. What that is for you in your time zone, you figure it out. I'm not a math guy.
And college football season, oh boy.
Yes. Yes. And that's how I got to know him. That is Chris Deeds.
That's what me and Christy gonna have our rivalry at this season.
Fifth Down Sports Show, Setting the Scene, and many other pieces of content that you've seen him. And you actually got a chance to see him this week, subbing for Brian on the Brian Snow Show this past Tuesday. Good job, by the way, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's Chris Deeds of the Fifth Down Sports Show, and this concludes Totally Deeds. And when we come back, we'll touch on some more things in the world of sports.
And
thank you, sir.
As I'm coming out, happy birthday, Dr. K.
That's right.
Passionate.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Unflinching.
Let's go back to losing. Parking was easier.
Unrelenting.
They're not going to keep him off the field tonight.
Totally.
This one has a chance.
Deeds.
That's not just a murmur, that's a full-blown fibrillation.
This planet has been great to me. It's given me gifts that I can't even explain. It's given me adventures and memories I'll never forget. And Battleborn, I think, has given me the opportunity to go beyond and give something back. How can I be a better custodian to this planet and the place I live? That's where I am with Battleborn. Let's make the planet a better place.
Hey everybody, Brian Snow here. Want to do some afternoon sports talk with me and be interactive? Also meet some great guests from every walk of life? Then tune in to the Brian Snow Show on CSTV and CSTVnow.com. Weekdays at 2 p.m. Come on aboard and enjoy the ride.
PK Tire Pro is your one-stop on-the-spot auto service headquarters for a complete line of quality tires and auto services. For years, we have provided the Stockton, California area with the latest products and unprecedented services for everything we sell. And for years, our customers have been coming back. Take a look around. If you don't find what you need, visit us in Stockton, California. From the latest and best in tire technology to the services required to keep your vehicle looking good and running great, PK Tire Pros can get you out on the road quickly and at an affordable price. Stop by soon to see why so many people consider PK Tire Pros to be the one-stop shop for all of their tire needs. At PK Tire Pros, our friendly and knowledgeable staff, quick and dependable service professionals, and affordable prices all come together to make driving out on a new set of tires easy. On top of that, we never tire of tires. Stop by and see us, and you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to Snowman and Morning with Cole Johnson with the Playmaker. I am Cole Johnson. And before we continue onward to talk more sports, we want to actually take the time to send out a special happy birthday wish to Jody Snow, a.k.a. Dr. K. And we hope that you're enjoying yourself on this wonderful
Happy birthday. Since it's your birthday, give Snowman hell.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Why did you say that?
Because he been coming after me and I ain't been saying nothing. He thought I didn't notice that him and Koo wanted to attack my Rams last week.
Well,
Snowman be throwing shots at me. He don't think I be knowing.
Well, well, we hope that everything is good, Dr. K. Have a wonderful day. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you have done for and with the Snowman, and he's become a better man because of you. And I just want to say happy birthday. I hope you get everything that you desire and then some, because you deserve everything and then some.
But happy birthday to the doctor.
Yes. So, considering that we are now at the slow part of the news cycle in terms of sports,
Ryan McCarty has a programming note.
Yes, he will be later on today on the Brian Snow Show. He'll be appearing to guest host for him, and it's going to be an Ask Him Anything episode. And he does mean anything. It can be within the realm of sports or pop culture. Well, I'm not going to throw politics in the fray, but definitely like sports or pop culture in that realm. An Ask Me Anything edition of the Brian Snow Show with the Ryan McCarthy takeover, and that's at 2
state that he lives in. Yeah.
Yes, and that's at 2 p.m. today, and it goes on 2 hours long. So it's from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. That's for the CSTV fam. All right, so what is on your mind now? Because I mean, I could give you football takes, but you say wake you up when it's September. You could I could throw the NBA stuff, and it's all about the draft, but I yawn every time I mention the word draft. Major League Baseball, it really doesn't really get interesting until after the All-Star break. So what is on your mind, sir?
I wish Jay Spivey was here right now. Because that number one team in baseball took their first loss. Now they are in a winner-take-all game tonight against the LSU Tigers. with the winner facing the Florida Gators in the championship series.
Yeah. So talk about Wake Forest a little bit. The one thing that I've had to ascertain is that they have been the number one ranked team for most of this year baseball, most of this year, but we all wouldn't know it considering the coverage or lack thereof with them.
Man, look at the football team. The football team had one of their best years in a long time. Did we pay attention to the media really pay attention to the Wake Forest like that?
Not really.
Exactly.
Not really. Not really. And what's and he's correct. He's correct. One of the things that I disliked about living in North Carolina is that you know these other schools are there. And I can name I can name the Appalachian States and the Davidsons and North Carolina.
Hey, Appalachian State got more TV coverage than football than Wake Forest.
I can mention all of those schools too, or North Carolina Central. I can name all the other schools that you wouldn't ordinarily have roll off the tip of your tongue. But the four biggest programs that are in North Carolina, which would be University of North Carolina, Duke, North Carolina State, and Wake Forest. Now, I lived in Fayetteville for about a little less than 2 years. And Fayetteville is roughly maybe like an hour and a half south of the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area. And it's like about maybe 3 miles away from Charlotte. 3 hours away from Charlotte. The coverage even there, and none of those four schools are even close to Fayetteville. It was about North Carolina, and then after that, Duke. And then, you still have UNC, and you barely heard any peeps about Wake Forest. And I was just thinking, well, okay, it must be that area. And I'm learning more and more by the day, it's that state. It's just they focus on the Tar Heels and Duke to a lesser degree because there's more people that hate Duke than love them there. And it's more people that love UNC than hate them there. But Wake Forest...
How funny. You hate the private school and love the public school.
Yeah, isn't that something? Yeah. So that's the dynamic, but Wake Forest, you don't hear a peep from them.
It ain't even like that in Florida. You're going to hear about FSU. You're going to hear about Miami. You're going to hear about Florida. You're going to hear about UCF. And that was before they even made the move to the Big 12.
Yeah.
To a lesser degree, you'll get some news on Florida International. You'll get some news on Florida Atlantic.
All right. But
this is great.
But that shows the difference in coverage in as regards to the state, because in Texas, you hear about a lot of different schools. U of H is huge there, of course, but you get A&M coverage, you get Texas coverage, you get even Baylor coverage, and if they do something worthy, you'll even get SMU and TCU coverage there, and I mean in Houston. And it's the same way in San Antonio. It's the same way in Austin. It's the same way even in Dallas. But I just find this phenomenon with how North Carolina covers North Carolina collegiate sports to be interesting, fascinating, and downright insulting, really. You have in the College World Series, the number one ranked team, and they barely are getting covered in their own state.
It was only them and LSU who held number one the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Florida ain't even held number one.
The whole season, yeah.
And the crazy thing is, a few years ago when UNF made the NCAA tournament, they covered. They actually did a special on UNF on SportsCenter.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know. I find it. You shouldn't do this to college sports, and the reason why I say that, we get that in professional sports, money rules, but you shouldn't have that same ethos be rampant with college sports too. But the more we see it, the more it's revealed that it's if the money doesn't talk, then the coverage just won't be there. And it's unfair to programs like the Wake Forest baseball team, who has put forth all this effort and work, and they actually might come away with a College World Series championship, but it doesn't mean a thing even in their own area. That is a crime.
I mean,
That is a crime.
honestly, let's think about it. My ladies' gymnastic team was getting a lot of coverage for gymnastics. And we weren't even the number one ranked gymnastic team in the country.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what frustrates me about coverage in general. You have that as something which I think, because I mean, I could probably roll the red carpet out to the Fanatic feedback zone and ask, okay, in your area, which teams do they cover more than anything, and which teams do they in college for sure? Which teams do they cover more, and which teams do they just simply ignore? And we'll probably be stumped as to which colleges they ignore, if they do, even if they do well in sports. Because when I was in North Carolina, yeah, it was ridiculous knowing that even North Carolina State and Wake Forest, although they were considered Division I programs, they were treated as redheaded stepchildren there. And I'm like, you're a big college. How in the heck are you?
And the fun thing is, all four of them in the same conference.
Yeah, you're in the same state, you're in the same conference. But good Lord, you all are treated so disrespectfully. Yeah, it blows my mind. Blows my mind.
You in Florida, you got schools in 3 different conferences. All of them get coverage.
Hmm. All right, so I'll pose that question to you. So, so you were in Duval. Which colleges do they focus on covering there, and which are you surprised they do, and what colleges don't they?
Oh, you already know the Big Four: Florida, Florida State, Miami, and UCF.
Correct. And I figured they would cover them, right? Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, they cover UCF, and UCF was in the same was in the American with USF.
Mm-hmm.
So by them covering UCF, South Florida got coverage too.
Right.
Now, would that continue? That should be seen now that the Knights are in the Big 12 now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the Bulls down in the American Conference. I mean, the Fort Atlanta Owls, they made the Final Four. South Beach was covering them like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the really only colleges that's Division I colleges that really don't cover like that is Florida International, UNF, and trust me, I know UNF is like 15 minutes away from staying there.
Right.
And to a lesser degree, University of South Florida. That's about it. There's some other schools that technically are like Division I, Division II type that really don't get coverage, but most of all, it's pretty much spreading evenly between the 4.
Right.
And it's in different parts of the state too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have Florida State in Tallahassee, you have Central Florida in Orlando, Gainesville, Florida, and then you have Miami down the south.
Mm-hmm. But you see how they still get that coverage, and that's the thing.
And what makes it even crazy, because if you look at North Carolina, Duke, NC State, and Wake Forest, they not that far from each other.
No,
They literally not that far.
In fact, let me see if I can get this straight. It is 12 miles between Duke and North Carolina State. I think it's 10 miles between North Carolina and North Carolina State. And it's 8 miles between North Carolina and Duke. And Wake Forest is like between 45 and 55 minutes from all those three schools.
It's literally like a circle with those four. In the state of Florida, Tallahassee and Jacksonville, that's literally about 4 hours apart. Gainesville to Jacksonville is 90 minutes. You got another hour to that. That's Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good 6 to 8 hours, depending on which way you go from Jacksonville down to Miami.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, in Texas, it's similar. And here in Tennessee, of course, Vanderbilt, they do get some coverage here, obviously, because Vanderbilt is in Nashville. University of Tennessee is huge in terms of focus. But they touch on Kentucky, they touch on Alabama, they even sometimes touch on Memphis State if they do something. And to a lesser degree, if they do they do things, you got Murray State, which that's in Kentucky. You have MTSU, which that's in the Nashville area. I mean, and they focus on these many schools, but they don't bypass them sports-wise if they make a big dent.
But that's why I don't know if you're ready yet. That's why I wrote the article. Because 2023, one state has been in multiple main event games in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been spreading around like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen, but it is. And what's more frustrating is this would make you feel as though if people say that there's a bias, well, it is very difficult to deny that. It's very difficult to deny people saying there's a bias.
Find a bias, or is it just plain out there? With North Carolina, it is plain out there.
Yeah. So yeah, and that is what I dislike about when I was watching North Carolina sports. That's what I disliked. I was like, wow, they are so biased in the favor of North Carolina. And I thought it was.
How long did it take you to realize Wake Forest won 10 games? When did this happen?
Yeah.
What has Wake Forest been doing? That was your question. What was Wake Forest doing that I didn't know?
Here's what's even funnier. So you have that, and you also have when Wake Forest, I think it was 2021, when they were going on a run, and then when they played North Carolina, and North Carolina beat Wake Forest, it was more about how miraculous a feat North Carolina did, and not, oh wow, Wake Forest, wow, their chances are hurt in advancing to a big New Year's Six bowl or something of that nature. And then after that game, you heard nothing about Wake Forest, good, bad, or indifferent. But you heard about North Carolina, and that was in football, which North Carolina is not that strong in football. They're not that good. They're not that strong in football, and that team wasn't that good. That's what I find crazy about all of that. That's what I find crazy. I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah. And I do wish I had Jay here, because he could break this down even further, where he knows of, and I think it's probably the PD. I think he knows the program director of a station in Winston-Salem. And Winston-Salem is where Wake Forest it resides. And he said that the person was at a festival or a fair in Winston-Salem at the same time that in Omaha, Wake Forest is proving that they were the best team in the game, in the college game. And he says that from that station, you can actually see the lights of the stadium. That's how close that news station is from the stadium, and they could care less about them. But if it was North Carolina in the same position, you could best believe they would have been on the first thing smoking to Omaha. Criminal. That is criminal. And Winston-Salem, again, is about a little less than an hour from Winston-Salem.
Can't make this stuff up.
No. You can't make it stuff up if you tried.
But yet again, another team from Florida is in the championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy. This year,
now the question I'll have to ask about that is, will we actually have a school come up with a championship this year?
Actually, I had some Gator fans correct me. A track team won the national championship, and somehow, some way, our men's golf team won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. And I was like, when I wrote the article, I was more focused on the sports that everybody was throwing out there.
Right.
Because usually, I'm not used to ESPN putting out gymnastics, but thanks to our superstar gymnastics, they kept promoting gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma won that one.
Yep.
Final Four. We had two teams make the first appearances in Final Fours. Both got taken out in the Final Four. Softball. I mean, FSU ran into the bus out of Oklahoma, so I mean,
no team of softball's touching Oklahoma.
I think the last team that did touch Oklahoma was Florida.
Right.
And then they got us back for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we the reason why that streak gets started.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's over 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we got the men's baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
So once baseball is over, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Miami, you're all up next. And knowing them three, they're going to be the ones to end the streak of not doing anything in the postseason. You can see it. We got gymnastics. We don't took baseball, basketball. Now leave it up to the professional teams and not to make the big noise.
Yeah.
Leave it to them three.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Oh, and you have a request to collaborate. Mr. Cool McCain wishes that you collaborate with him.
The funny thing is, and I'm dreading this, I already got one coming up. I just didn't tell you because I know two teams that got to play each other this year, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I bet you aren't.
I'm not looking forward to it.
That's a
real rough one for me.
Yeah. Well, we have come to the end of this broadcast.
I think that game is in Philly.
That's cool.
I think that game is in Philly. Let me double check.
What, talking about Rams Eagles?
Yeah, I think that game's in Philly.
All right. Well, tell people where they can find you, sir, and where they can get more of this content, which is fire, by the way.
Just look up the Playmakers Bar on YouTube. you can check out the latest episode that I did on Snowman. So I did talk about John Morant, and I did not go off this time. I just spoke.
Yeah.
I just spoke.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing my WNBA coverage and the Las Vegas Aces. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right.
One probably next week, but one of these times I'm gonna come on here and we're gonna talk WNBA because they're not getting enough coverage.
I will say this to set the table. Viewership is going up, and I think it has a lot to do with the NCAA women's setting the table for it. So there we have the jump off point there. So yeah, we will talk WNBA next week after, whenever, but we definitely will talk about WNBA in the summer. And you can catch me on Cool Sports. Of course, I did an episode yesterday. It's every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. You can catch me on Mentality with Wise El Jefe. That will be on the Comey Media, at Comey Media Incorporated, or at RealWise TV YouTube channels. You can also catch me on Revelations, interviews, and I want to ask many different people to be on the platform. Dietz has been on it already, and so has Brian. You can catch that on the at Revelations TV show YouTube channel. And that will do it for this episode of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad you joined us. And we say this in parting every day. Take care. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. That's what the Playmaker's doing. I know that's what Deese is doing. That's what the chat is doing. That's what I'm doing. And we hope you are in the listening and viewing audience are doing the same too. For the Playmaker, for a vacationing Snowman, and for a birthday celebrating Dr. K, I am Cole Johnson saying adios, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, adieu, and see ya.
Yeah, have fun tomorrow.
As tomorrow, we will enter the Boom Shakalaka. Oh boy, that's going to be something else. But tune in tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Now, forgive me not knowing the brother. You got your mic, but I don't know who the hell you are. It's like you're in the broadcasting witness protection program.